Hey, you guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Steven, accompanied by Queen Taylor. And today we're checking out what?
Today we're checking out, it's a video that people were really excited about when we did our live stream on Saturday.
Yeah.
We did our spin the wheel, and we just mentioned the 5 that were going to go up for the voting system. And this did not actually win our poll, but a lot of people were really excited about it, so we decided we were going to check it out anyway. So this is North Sea Lifeboats, how the RNLI saves lives in this treacherous patch of water.
What's the patch of water?
Don't know.
Okay.
But it looks treacherous.
Yeah, you didn't think I was going to throw that one at you.
Do you know what it is?
No, I have no idea.
Okay, then.
Okay.
I don't know why you expect me to know. I've not seen the video.
The Pacific Ocean, the Central, the Amazonian.
The Amazonian Ocean.
Yeah, it's like a patch of water. You guys, let's find out what the RNLI is all about. And let's see what sea boats. Let's go.
The North Sea.
It's the North Sea.
Really die inside.
Home to freezing temperatures, raging winds,
There's no
rough seas,
Have you ever seen that show Bering Sea Gold or whatever on
No.
the History Channel? Or yeah, this is what that reminds me of. Are those like most dangerous fishermen,
Yeah.
the deadliest catch? You would never catch me out on the seas like this.
No, absolutely not.
Because I am, not only would I get seasick, but I'm scared to death. So anybody who does this, kudos to you, hats off.
Honestly. There
You're-
ain't no way.
Yeah, there's no way I can. Thank God there's people like you out there. Okay.
and big waves, rough seas, and big waves. It's captured imaginations, past,
That's cool.
and present.
Oh, hell no.
It's where thousands of people make their living.
Colorado.
On board fishing vessels, working for energy companies, and crewing transport ships. It's a place for recreation, but also a place fraught with danger. It's one of the most challenging patches of water on the planet, a challenge the RNLI must be ready to face. North Sea Lifeboats.
That's pretty cool.
The sea. Ranging from the Straits of Dover to the Orkney and Shetland Islands and the edge of the Norwegian Sea. The North Sea encompasses 750 square kilometers of seawater. The water temperature averages 17 degrees in the summer and 6 degrees in the winter. The air temperature can drop as low as 0 degrees. Winter brings frequent gales and storms to the area. Storm surges in particular can be deadly. One such event in 1953 flooded several coastlines, taking 2,000 lives. All these conditions make for a difficult area for the RNLI. An area that pushes lifesavers and lifeboats to the limits. Lifeboat rescues in the North Sea. From Lowestoft in Norfolk to Lerwick and Aith in Shetland. Over 50 lifeboat stations count the North Sea as part of their patch. Inshore.
So they just have like these little lifeboat sections or stations throughout the coast there.
Yeah. Down
That's-
the whole coast.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's like what I would imagine kind of being the equivalent to like the beach. And then when you see like a lifeguard station, you know, every,
Yeah.
I don't know, quarter of a mile, whatever they are.
So my question is the RNLI I'm trying to think of like what we would equivalent that to in America. Would that be like our, because we have a wildlife, but not really the Coast Guard?
Yeah, maybe the Coast Guard
The
is
Coast Guard?
the closest I know of that I would.
But so we have each state would have its own Coast Guard that would put up those kind of like I guess hubs, right, for rescue. So I'm wondering if each town has to provide the RNLI with those. I don't know. But I'm sure it'll let us know.
Lifeboats operate close to shore. Their speed and maneuverability and ability to operate in shallow water makes them a vital part of our life-saving operations.
So like
It's the
custom-
all-weather lifeboat fleet that have to be ready to venture further out. Often spending hours at sea, battling the big waves and storm conditions to answer desperate calls for help. Some of the most difficult and arduous rescues in RNLI history have taken place on the North Sea.
Wow.
Iconic lifeboat crew member Henry Blogg earned each of his 7 medals for gallantry here while stationed at Cromer. In April 1973, Bridlington lifeboat crew took on hurricane conditions to locate a fishing vessel that had lost power. Despite heavy snow and force 12 winds, the lifeboat crew evacuated all 5 on board the stricken fishing vessel. Coxswain John King was awarded the Silver Medal for gallantry for his part in the rescue. In 1966, the lifeboat crew at Walton and Frinton spent over 26 hours on duty, as they launched 4 times to go to the aid of a grounded steamer, navigating a heavy break-in swell and strong winds to bring the casualties to safety. Coxswain Frank Broom was given a bronze medal for gallantry for his leadership through the marathon rescue. The most recent
Over 26 hours in those conditions.
Yeah.
Like 26 hours of just constantly being on and
Beaten
dealing
up.
with that.
Yeah. There's no way.
Like putting your life at risk.
to bring the casualties to safety. Coxswain Frank Broom was given a bronze medal for gallantry for his leadership through the marathon rescue. The most recent gold medal winning shout also took place in the North Sea, the rescue of the Green Lily, 19th November 1997. The 3,000-ton cargo vessel Green Lily lost power off the coast of Shetland. Hewitt Clark, coxswain of Lowick Lifeboat, and his crew launched to the rescue. Navigating 50-foot seas and force 11 winds, Hewitt manoeuvred the lifeboat alongside the casualty vessel, while the volunteer crew stood on deck and hauled the casualties on board the lifeboat,
Volunteer
bringing
crew.
5 people to safety. A rig arrived and towed the Green Lily to a position where a Coast Guard helicopter could evacuate the remaining crew.
Did you hear that correctly? Volunteer crew?
Yeah,
Not all of them, right?
I would hope not.
The whole crew. This isn't like volunteer firefighters,
Mhm.
is it? There's no way I'm doing that for free. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, especially at the beginning of this video where it had like the side by side, the 3 sort of like points of view looking out
Yeah.
the front of the ship, where it's just like dropping down in those massive. No way. My heart like stopped. These people are brave or ballsy. There's no way.
If they are volunteers, is it one of those situations where it's like they have a set schedule and like volunteers show up? Maybe. Like, I feel like this is not a job where volunteers should exist, because if you need somebody in a dire situation to come help, like, I can't rely on my volunteers not showing up for work today.
I feel like it's
You know?
something like with volunteer firefighters where you get that kind of schedule. Because don't you firefighters have a schedule, don't they?
But like, nothing's holding them to withhold it. I mean, I used to be a part of a volunteer firefighter training academy, and people would come and go whether they wanted to show up that day. You know, they were doing drills on Tuesday, but if you didn't want to be there, you didn't have to be there.
I don't feel like they would bother. I mean, I don't feel like most people would bother like signing up and agreeing to it if you didn't plan on showing up.
Yeah.
I think these people do it. Like, this is obviously not something that you do for shits and giggles. You're not going to be like, oh, I'll just dabble. These are people that like want to do this. So I feel like they would just show up.
Well, for me and that volunteer firefighter thing, I did it for like maybe 6 months, and then I was like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah. I'm
'Cause it
sure
was-
they have people like that, but I think
Yeah.
I would really like to think majority of them aren't that way.
It's interesting.
One by one, they are each airlifted to safety. Tragically, Coast Guard winchman Bill Deacon lost his life in the rescue, swept overboard as he waited to be pulled to safety, having sent the casualties up ahead of himself.
Oh,
Coxswain Hewitt Clark was awarded the gold medal for gallantry, and his crew were each awarded a bronze medal for gallantry. Out on a shout into the North Sea. What's it like being out on a rescue in the middle of the North Sea? Stephen Manson, the current coxswain of RNLI Lifeboat, described what it was like to head far out to sea.
My granddad always used to tell me, always be scared of the sea because it's always technically trying to kill you. And we do deal with bigger seas than you get in most other places in the world, and colder. But sometimes you can feel a little bit vulnerable. It's definitely a sea to be respected. It was a howling gale, really big seas, even in the... So right from the get-go, we were punching into it, and it just never eased off at all. It was a battle the whole way. It was hand steering, autopilot wasn't an option, and everybody was strapped in the whole way there. You have to try and make sure that you're staying on the course and that you're not getting hit entirely side on by the waves. But it was quite a confused sea, so they were sort of hitting us from every direction. Although the Severn is the biggest boat in the fleet, we felt like a very small boat that day, considering the size of the seas that were way above the top of the wheelhouse at times. It was a little bit intimidating. Danish trawler come fast on the bottom, so his fishing gear was stuck on the bottom, and with the rolling seas they'd ended up flooding their engine room, so they'd lost power, so they were just really at the mercy of the sea, taking a beating. There was a standby vessel on scene, but he was unable to tow, so he just stood by him until we could get there. I think we were 3.5, 4 hours getting out to him. It was not safe at all to try and evacuate them off the boat. So we got a tow line across to him, established the tow, and once he was happy, I started making my way back to Lerwick very, very slowly with him. I think eventually that boat would have sank, and probably realistically they would have had to abandon to a life raft and hope that the supply vessel that was close by could pick them up. But in seas that rough, they would have been quite hard to see, and they would have moved quite quickly. I fully believe we definitely saved 3 people's lives that day.
Yeah, no kidding. So if you think about it, you got this vessel that's the only thing that they could do is tow them.
yeah.
And he was saying like that ship would eventually go under if it would withstand that, because the engine room's flooding. That's incredible. It's scary.
I'm trying to think about like just from the perspectives of the people being on that boat, waiting for somebody, like praying somebody's going to make it to you to rescue you, having this fear that like, gosh, any minute we can be taken under, we can be thrown over, like we could be gone any second in these crazy storms. But then also, the people on like part of the RNLI going to save them being like, this is treacherous. We're trying to get there. I need to make sure I'm getting my crew there safe so we can even be in a position to save these people. But then also knowing in the back of your mind that you want to get there to save them, but that you have to do it, in a matter where you can get there. It's crazy.
Yeah. The RNLI must have the proper training, because like, how do you get out to a situation like that where the seas are so rough that you don't become a part of the problem?
Yeah, exactly. Like you're also trapped out there or underwater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're, now you're in a situation where you need rescuing.
Yeah.
This is madness.
Yeah.
It is. The sea is trying to kill you all the time. When you look at the North Sea too, up by Norway, and you have England, and it's just like kind of, if you look at it, it looks like it's just this little pocket. It's much bigger than that, but it looks like on a map, it just looks like a pocket of water. And maybe that's why it's so crazy out there. I don't know, but it's intense.
Yeah.
All right, let's continue on.
There's
You ready?
no way.
Yeah, there's no way.
Tackling the challenges of the North Sea. The North Sea is an unforgiving environment, and while brave lifeboat crews will launch in rough seas, many lost their lives trying to rescue those in peril here, including disasters at Fraserburgh, Longhope and Arbroath.
Oh,
Today's all-weather lifeboats have been designed and built to tackle the challenges this patch provides. The 7-class lifeboat, the Trent-class lifeboat, the Tamar-class lifeboat, and the Shannon-class lifeboat. These lifeboats have the strength and maneuverability needed to take on the scale of the challenge. They are able to launch into big storms, even when the size of waves can make your lifeboat feel incredibly small.
yeah.
Specially designed seats help counter the violent motion of the waves. Comforts like air conditioning and tea-making facilities help make those long shouts more bearable. Self-righting is a key safety feature, a combination of clever design and implementation of physics.
Wow.
Intake
that.
valves automatically shut
So
during
it's
a capsize,
corrects itself.
and the sealed wheelhouse acts as an air bubble.
Good.
So if the lifeboat capsizes, it will right itself automatically.
That's great.
Other innovations, like the Shannon's water jets, aid maneuverability, and the shape of each lifeboat's hull has been carefully designed to minimize impact of the big waves when out at sea. The lifeboat is just part of the solution. Hours and hours of training also helps crew prepare as best they can for whatever this treacherous patch of water can throw at them. Especially important when you factor in that many RNLI crew members do not come from a maritime background. The RNLI's training turns brave volunteers into competent, skilled lifesavers.
Brave
What makes
volunteers.
it all possible? The North Sea may be one of the most daunting places to crew a lifeboat, but when the call to rescue comes in, brave volunteers will drop everything to launch to the rescue, thanks to their dedication and courage and the support they receive from people like you. Your kindness powers their courage. It gives them the kit, training and lifeboats they need to launch into the North Sea, making this vast, treacherous patch of water a safer place for everyone.
Oh, that's great. The RNLI. Nice, dudes. So I feel as though the RNLI is more of like a fraternity, a brotherhood type thing. Because yes, it's volunteers. I want to say with an asterisk, right? Because someone's got to be funding the organization of building these ships. Like there's got to be people paid there. Maybe not like the crew. There's got to be like one person that's being paid to like get this thing going, right?
I mean, probably to train them all and things like that.
Yeah, like the captain, I would assume, or
Yeah.
like the main honcho. There's got to be some stake involved there for some, or just people who have served an X amount of time, right? Because that's the one thing, even with volunteer firefighting, there was always like the chief. There was always somebody there that like the paid guys and then the non-paid
Yeah.
guys. And the non-paid guys always wanted to become the paid guys. And that was like their incentive to stay there. And it was all due to tenure. But I feel as though nepotism probably plays a huge role in this. Like someone's grandfather or father was a part of the RNLI, and I mean, even if they did this as like recreational or, you know, hobbyists that do this outside of their normal day jobs, you know, this is something that they're doing with their community on the weekends or whenever they can. I think of just like the fraternity and just the camaraderie of the people that they're a part of, because you know not every day is probably saving lives on, you know, the seas. Maybe things are chill and normal, so it's like training,
Yeah.
you know, on those off seasons. Or
I definitely think these like people that are involved in this they've got like a close bond.
yeah,
I mean, every time you go out there, you're putting your life on the line to save these people that need the help. And I think I think they're aware of that, and I think that that bonds you enough. But in situations where the seas are extra rough and you're having to, I think they called them like coxswains, something like that, which I would imagine is like the captain, basically.
Mhm.
Um, you're having to make sure like your crew is safe as well as on the point of like getting there and getting back and during the process of, saving these other people and things like that. So I think that just being in really treacherous situations like this and moments where you know that your life is on the line, I think that that like bonds you extra hard.
And I think
For
it's
sure.
incredible that they're taking boats and they're creating specific lifeboats for this. Like, they're getting funding and they're creating custom boats dedicated. Like, this is its sole purpose in life, is to be a lifeboat, to be in this treacherous seas. And the innovations, like, I mean, the air conditioning and tea making thing, like, seems so trivial, but like, if you're out there for two, what is it, 26-hour mission,
Yeah.
but sometimes longer. They were talking about like it was going to take us a day to get to them.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's insane in this kind of weather, with the waves beating up that boat. Like, you're
Yeah.
not sleeping that whole time.
And I'm
So,
sure, your body is like naturally just a little bit tensed up in these situations. So like they gotta make it as comfortable as they can for
yeah,
people
absolutely.
to, you gotta keep it so you can get there basically. And yeah, these people are mega, mega brave.
And I think it's awesome that this exists. Can we
Yeah.
just say that? I think it's awesome that the Royal National Lifeboat Institute is a thing, because I didn't know it was a thing.
Yeah.
I never thought about it. I guess I always thought like the military was involved with the Coast Guard, and I just assumed that like every country operates the same way in that kind of aspect. Who's saving people out at sea? You
Yeah.
know, the Coast Guard. But to see that this is, such a thing big enough that an RNLI needs to exist is just awesome.
And it's nice to see because obviously I would imagine that there's a pretty big need, especially with the North Sea being like one of the absolute most unforgiving, like they'd said,
Yeah.
to see all those kind of like posts put up along the whole coast there,
Yeah.
to see that there's so many of them. So that's great as well, because you can't tell like looking at that map how far apart from each other they actually are, but it looks like they're close enough that like the same crew's not having to go out constantly like,
Yeah.
oh hey, we're the next town over and we can take this one, you guys go get that one, like type thing. So that's good that they have enough
Coverage.
ships, but also volunteers to be able to have that many.
So you guys, that was a little North Sea lifeboats, the RNLI. This was a whole new experience for us Americans. Let us know down in the comments if the RNLI is something that you've particularly volunteered for before. Have you been a part of that? Have you wanted to look into that?
Do you live somewhere where of in your lifetime of
Volunteers.
well, I was going to say like of a specific, I don't know how to word what I'm trying to say.
Rescue.
Yeah, there you go. That sums up what I was trying to get at.
Yeah. So you guys, let's have a conversation down in the comments below. Let us know. And thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.